Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list. This week's top 10 list is a continuation of last week. Last week I did the top 10 notes I'm going to send in for grading. Yes, there was 12 of them. It's not that I don't know how to count, it's just I was excited to be able to send some stuff in. This week I'm doing the top 10 error notes that I'm going to send in for grading. Now these error notes, there's actually 11 of them, and my reasoning for sending these in is to verify the error essentially, that and to preserve their condition. It's not like there is a book that tells you what an error is worth in this condition versus that condition. So the grade itself isn't really that important to me. It's the authentication of the error and the preservation of the note. That is why I'm sending these in. And some of these, I don't know if they're going to come back graded or not. Like my bonus note. This is my bonus note number 11 on here. You've seen this one before. You've seen all these before. This is potentially the obstruction error note that I have. Now, as far as obstruction error, you'll see that it only has one serial number instead of two. It doesn't have the Federal Reserve seal. Those are all third printing errors. But it also doesn't have the signature like this side over here, and that's on the second print. So it's interesting that it's missing items from two different prints, missing both from the second print and the third print, which is why I thought this might not be legitimate. It doesn't make sense as to how that would happen. When you try to figure out what kind of obstruction would have went on there to prevent certain things, how does the signature not show up, but this part does? And how does the 10 show up and not the signature? So that's a very small area to be obstructed. But then the next time around, now this all had to be obstructed as well as the entire serial number for that not to come through. So I don't know. I can't rationally put that together. But if you look, you can see the indentation of the serial numbers, which means I don't think that they scratched off the serial number. So I don't know. I really don't know. And I've thrown my arms up in the air and I'm willing to put a little bit of money into finding out what the deal is with this note. So if it comes back graded as an obstruction error, I'll know it's real. And if it comes back saying not an error, then I'll know that. So that's why I'm going to send it in. We will get the answer. All right. So now, and just in case they do grade it, I don't put a whole lot of emphasis in the grading on that particular note, but we are going to call that one a 20 because it does have some creases here, heavy crease here, a little bit of a fold here, and it's a modern note. I mean, I believe this is from 1950, but it's still a fairly modern note compared to most of the stuff I send in, so I don't expect it. I expect it to go under a lot more scrutiny than some of the older notes, so I'm putting it at a 20. If it comes back better than that, great. But like I said, if it's a fake error, it's not going to get graded, so it's almost irrelevant. All right, number 10 on my list. Number 10, this looks like a regular note. The only thing wrong with this one is the seal over here seems to be a little light. And, well, there's a good reason for it being a little light. This is a wet ink transfer. And what I mean by that is I think this was initially over-inked. And then what happened is the next note fell on top of it, and that was over-inked. And the next note fell on top of that. And what happens is that wet ink transferred to the back of the note. So I find that pretty amazing that there's such a clear impression like that. Really cool note, really cool wet ink transfer. The note itself is in all right condition. I'm actually expecting this to come back graded at about a 30 or 35. But like I said, the grade isn't really that important. It's just the proof of the error that I'm looking for. So that's number 10. Number 9, I've got my gutter fold error, or you can call it a folded corner or a cutting error. There's so many different ways to word this because there's so many different ways to address what happened. Now, what happened was the note had a gutter fold, which means there was a fold in the paper. The note got printed, and you can see this is usually what you see with a gutter fold right here. But then they cut the note, and since the note had been cut, then this has been opened up. So now that forms that gutter, that little channel there that doesn't have ink on it, but it should. So you can call that a gutter error, you can call it a fold error, you can call it any type of thing like that. I'm going to have them give the official designation for it. The amazing thing is how long this note must have been in circulation before anybody noticed, because it's not in good shape at all, and it's even got writing on it. Somebody wrote on this particular note, so it's been around. That's just a cool view of it right there. You can see the back was printed correctly, and then the fold happened when they went to the second printing, because that's where the gutter fold is, versus on the other side, when you look closely, all of that printing is right where it belongs. Anyway, this particular note, like I said, not in the greatest of shape, probably going to be like a 15 or a 20, I think. Maybe it'll be a 20. I'm sure it'll come out as a 20. Where is it on this one? Why am I not finding it? Gutter fold. There we go. Yeah, I put it down as a 20. Number 8 on my list. This is my public error, my wood chopper public error from 1907. I made sure that this is not considered its own note. It does not have its own FR number. For those of you wondering what I'm talking about, the word public right here, the plate broke. Just that little teeny crack in the plate. Instead of saying PUB, it now looks like it says PCB because the plate is broken. And that little break in the plate was enough to get this the designation public error. Now, this isn't in the greatest of shape. I think I figured it grading at a 15 or a 20, but I'm not worried about the grade as much as I am worried about it getting the public error designation. That's what I'm looking for, a note that comes back, public error. Number 7 on the list. Number 7, one of the notes I'm really excited about because when I showed it at the shop, they came running to see this one. This is my filled star. You can see what a star is supposed to look like right there, but this one is filled in. Now, I don't know if that's just an over-inking error or what, but it's a filled star, and the guys at the shop took a microscope to it, and they were checking all kinds of stuff out, and it's definitely a print error of some type. Now, I don't know if there's an official designation for filled star or not, so I am very interested to see what PMG says about this particular note. As for the grading, I didn't grade it very high because it is a new note. It's a 2017, and it's already got centerfolds in it. Not heavy centerfolds, but they're there. You can see them. So if this comes back with like a 30, I'm not going to be disappointed because I'm not after the actual grade. I'm after the designation for the filled star. And I'm sure a lot of you are also interested to see how it comes back as well, because I know 1 or 2 of you have also found a filled star and you'd like to know the official word. So that's what I've got there for number 7. Number 6 on the list. My offset print error. Yeah, that'll make your eyes cross. This is the front of the note. The front of the note here, you can see there's the back just like it's supposed to be. The offset print error. Now, how this happens is they start the print before the paper goes in. So what happens is you have the back plate here, and the press comes down and prints on that back plate because there's no paper there. Then the paper is inserted. It would be inserted this way, and as the paper goes in, the plate comes down and prints the back of the note. But while it prints the back of the note, it's also pressing this side onto the plate that also has the ink on it, which means you get this image backwards. See how there is, well, look at the direction of the flags. Yeah, these flags are pointing left, and if I look on the back, the flags are pointing right. So it is a backwards image because of the way it was printed like that. Now this has the entire image and it's extremely dark, which means this was one of the first notes for this error to happen on in the series. Normally these are the ones that get noticed, and the ones that escape only have half of the image on it. So for this one to be a full reverse print offset ink error, that is pretty cool. So I'm excited to get this one verified. Once again, I also didn't put a whole lot into the grading. Where do I got this here? I only listed it like a 20, maybe a 25. If it gets better than that, like I said, great. I'm not worried about that. I just want the authentic notation. And whatever grade it is, that'll just be exciting to see. Number 5, halfway through the list. I've got my freak note, my $100 with the cutting error. $100 bill has the cutting error on it. Now, I did ask the shop owner, I said, since this is folded over, there's a crease. I said, does that crease affect the note? And he said no, because that crease is what the error actually is. So that's not going to affect the note. But he did say that I didn't have to worry because the note was wasn't uncirculated. You can see it does have a crease down the middle. But once again, to have this graded. You can see a little bit of a crease there as well. To have this graded and encapsulated, that is going to make me feel good, because that way I know it's going to stay in the same shape. That is number 5. Oh, I gotta stretch. All right, number 4. Number 4 on the list. Oh, sorry, the $100 note. I'm hoping it gets a 25 or a 30. I'm not, going out of my way on any of these notes. Number 4. This is a $5 note with an insufficient inking error on it. Now you can almost see exactly where the insufficient inking is. So this one is pretty interesting. This looks like an old ratty note. The thing is, this note is almost perfect. Razor sharp corners, paper quality is great. Checking the back, see how the ink is even? All of this inking is perfect. So the inking here, that's not damage to the note. That is truly an under inking error. You can find a lot of notes that have water damage. You can find a lot of notes that have been in washing machines, and they're going to have a similar look to this, but they're not going to be crisp notes. They're also going to have the same amount of damage throughout the entire note. I keep saying damage. This is not damage. This is under inking, because there is no damage to the note. And once again, there's the weirdness here. You can see it's solid here. Weirdness, solid. Back of the note, perfect. Now this one, they called it uncirculated there, and I believe them. This is one of the better notes I've got as far as grading goes. Once again, just going for the designation, but the insufficient ink error, I'm expecting this one to get, I called it a 64, and I think that's just because of the back not being perfectly centered. I think that's why I guessed a 64 on this particular one. Number 3. Another insufficient inking error. This $20 bill has an insufficient ink error. Where is it? It's on the back. Only a third of the bill got inked. That is definitely an insufficient inking error. And it's also amazing because look at the circulation. You can see the hard crease there. You can see the crease here. This note has been circulated. It's gone around for a while. Nobody bothered to check the back of this note. And there it is with 10 times face value price tag. And all they had to do was look. They never bothered to look. I just find that amazing. One of the ink spots probably got clogged, and that's what caused the insufficient inking error. Not in the greatest of shape. I expect this like 20, maybe 25, but if it gets a 20, I don't expect it to be less than a 20. That's what I'm going to put on that one. A 20 on my 20. So that is number 3. Number 2. One of the coolest errors I have. This one looks like it's missing the third print. It is not missing the third print. I found it. It's on the back. And this note is crisp. Now, I don't know about this. I think this is a mark. I think that's a roller mark from going through a bill counter. And I think that will make sure that this one doesn't come out as a 65, I think. Let's see. So I've got it down here as a 63 is going to be my guess on this because of the roller mark from the counting machine. It's too bad though, because this note is really, really, really nice. If it wasn't for that roller mark, I bet it gets a 65, but I'm expecting a 63 on that one. And finally, last but not least, probably one of the best notes I've got in my collection. The condition on this is just phenomenal. The only thing I don't like is the top to bottom centering. I think that's a little bit off there. What's the error on this note? No first printing. There's nothing on the back of this note at all. It completely missed the first printing. This would happen when two pieces of paper get stuck together and they get printed, and then when they go through the next print, that's when they get separated. So this note did not get the first printing and then the two pieces of paper separated so that it was able to get the second print. This note is gem. It is sweet. It is an awesome condition note. This particular one, I'm going to guess a 64 on this one. It is that nice. I'm not going 65 because of the top to bottom off center. And so 63, hopefully a 64. That's what I'm hoping to get on this one. So there you have it. Last week, I made my guesses for my regular notes. This week, these are the errors that I'm sending in, and I made my guesses. It's going to be neat to see what happens with these notes. It'll also be neat to see if you guys have a guess. I'd be curious to see what you guys think on all of these. So go ahead and put your guesses down in the comments. All right, guys. Hopefully it won't be too many weeks before these are returned to me, because like I said, I'm filming this January 5th, and it's probably not going to air till sometime in February. So with a little luck, you may only have a week or two to wait to see the results. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next week.